Train the muscles, not the joints.
So welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and today I want to talk about an issue. Can fat make you fat? Now, I want you guys to just understand here that I was recently attacked by someone because they misunderstood something. Please forgive me, but I have to address this kind of negativity that people have on the internet. They think that it's okay to attack somebody and call them an idiot based on their own misunderstanding of what you're saying. So this person came and said to me that I'm an idiot, that I'm a rookie, all this kind of stuff, just because I said that fat can make you fat. And the truth is that fat can make you fat. Any type of energy calorie can make you fat, whether it's fat or whether it's carbs or whatever. For each person, there is an ideal ratio of carbs to fat in their diet. And for me, when I'm getting ready for a bodybuilding show, I need to cut the fat down to a bare minimum. I find that it works well if I only have about 30-40 grams of fat a day, mostly essential fat, and then cut the carbs down so that I'm only having one meal a day. And sometimes I'm even using a fruit type carb, which goes against what everybody says out there, like don't use fructose, because I found that when I use starchy carbs like rice and potato and all that, when I'm getting ready for contest, that I do not drop water or fat weight as easily. I still cannot drop the weight. I cannot get down to that 4 or 5% body fat range for on stage. So this is something that I found through 18 different shows, through experimenting with multiple different diets, high fat, high carb, low carb, all this kind of stuff. So the thing is, when somebody comes in and says, Jason, you're an idiot, you know, and then they cite a study off somewhere and say, oh, this person there that does this research who is basically not a bodybuilder. See, the thing that a lot of people lose sight with is that the most important laboratory that you can ever do an experiment in is in your own body. So it's good to use studies as a beginning template, as somewhere to start in the understanding of the mechanics and the complication that is the physical body. But in the end, as you work with the body, as you do different diets, as you do different training programs and stuff, you will find out what's working and what isn't. And to ignore those results just because the latest study doesn't support your finding, that's not real science. Real science is embracing what you found to be true and realizing that there may be another variable or another factor that is contributing to what has happened in the body at this time. So this is why I always go back to my own body, my own experience, first and foremost, and I throw out the studies when they do not match what it is that I found to be true. Truth has to be the first thing. Relationship with the body has to be the first thing, not relationship with some information published by somebody that doesn't even have the same amount of knowledge that you have. You have to honor the relationship that's going on here. So if I'm getting leaner from eating higher carbs or higher fat or whatever, then guess what? Something's going on there. So the latest study that is saying the opposite might not be taking in all the factors. So what I have to do is say what worked and continue to do what worked and not believe the study instead of what's working. You understand? What's working is the truth, not what somebody thinks should work. That's the difference. If I notice that eating certain foods, I start putting on body fat every week and I start messing around with the ratios and stuff, and I notice that my body fat keeps going up, then I know that I need to do something different than what I'm doing. It's that simple. It's this experiment in life that I encourage you to take part in, not just always referencing through some information somewhere. This is the relationship approach. I'm teaching the relationship approach on this channel. I'm not teaching the information approach. I'm not trying to pose as an expert as much as a person that is asking you to have a relationship with you and your body and trusting in that. The funny thing is, years ago, I talked to a guy that was an essential fats seller. He used to sell these bottles of essential fat. And I talked to the owner of the company. And he was highly invested in selling these essential fats to everybody and making sure they all took his product, and that he would say to everybody, it's impossible for you to gain fat with this stuff. You can guzzle a bottle every single day and no problem. You can drink as much as you want. You know, you might get the runs, but no problem. You will not put on body fat. So I took this literally. And what I would do is that I would have as much essential fats as I wanted as an experiment, and then I would just have fibrous carbs and proteins such as chicken and fish and egg whites all the way up into a show. Now, when I showed up to that show, I felt good, but I was not down to the body fat percentage I needed to be in order to win that show. And in that moment, I discovered that essential fats can also be stored as body fat if they are too high. Even though my carbs were low, some people think that you cannot store body fat. They would say you can't store body fat, period, if your carbs are low. You know what? Yes, you can. You can store some body fat. That's what I found with my body, and I've seen other people do it. It does happen. Then some people say, well, you don't secrete the right hormone in order to store body fat if you're not taking any carbs. So you can have as much fat as you want and you will not store any body fat. Well, the problem with this is that even if this was true, and if you are on too low of a carb diet for a period of time, there is a certain look to the muscle that does happen when you do not give the body any carbohydrates whatsoever. And what happens is your body does flatten out. Now, some people say, well, no, but your body will learn how to convert that fat into fuel and your body will fill out again. And I'm going to tell you that's not true. The body will convert that fuel to some sort of level of blood sugar, but it will not be enough in order to fill those muscles out. It will not have the same protein sparing effect that carbohydrates will have when you take them into your system. So what I'm meaning by this is that you can be on a high fat diet with moderate protein or whatever your protein intake is, and you may not be keeping all the muscle that you could keep if you had some carbohydrates in your diet. All right, so there is a benefit ratio that goes on here. So what I'm trying to tell you is that if you have some carbs, it does help fill out the muscle, and it does help you hold on to some muscle and give you that glycogen and get that pump and assist with recovery, because the more water or hydration that is in a muscle cell, the more nutrients can travel in and out. So the thing is that if you're on too low of a carb diet for too long a period of time, there is a possibility that you could lose some muscle from that. And because of that, your metabolism drops. And guess what? If your metabolism drops, you also are not dropping body fat. So what I found through my own experiment, without even getting into sort of any technical knowledge or any sort of technical lingo whatsoever, let's not even talk science here. Let's just talk what happened. When I was on a moderately low carbohydrate diet, and of course I would cycle the carbs here and there and have higher carb days and then lower carb days with low fat, right? I would just have, my 20 to 30 grams of fat a day or whatever, maybe a handful of nuts or something like that. And then I dieted like that for a period of 6 or 7 weeks. I got shredded. But when I had the high fat diet and really low carb and the same amount of protein, I did not get in the same shape. I did not get as lean. So this is something to consider. This is my experience, and I know some people will benefit from it, and I highly encourage you to do your own experiment and find out which ratio is right for you. And there's not really a right or a wrong here. There's just the most ideal for you. So that's the trick. You have to find the ideal ratio for you, and only through experimentation will you find this. But yeah, fat's not bad, carbs aren't bad. You need both. But you need the right ratio in order to feed the muscles but not feed the fat stores. That's it. So if you want to purchase any of my music or my workout programs, just go to naturalgallantbodybuilding.com and take care for now.